Hump day. We got an unusually warm day today. It's going to get up to in the 50s. And we're raining right now. Oh yeah. It's going to be a slushy, wet mess. But I wanted to show you something before we start on today's project. I was thinking, I haven't showed you this this vehicle yet. So get some lights on here. So this is a 2000 Suburban 1500. And quick story how I got this was I got to know this guy in town that was he was a well, popular name like everything in a small town, but he I started doing a couple things for him. I got rid of a box truck on his property that was all disintegrated into pieces, and so anyway, I helped him with that. I got rid of some junk for him, and started to become friends with him. But he bought this Suburban brand new, and he had other vehicles too, but this was just kind of like, it turned out to be his camp truck, and he didn't really register it. He just would drive it. He owned a couple of different camps in the woods, and, nothing too crazy, like, off-road type stuff, but he would just use it for that. But he was telling me about it, and he said, how much would you pay for a vehicle like that? It's getting pretty rusty, and probably going to get rid of it in the spring. So 2 years went by. I helped him with a couple other things. I got my ramp truck, and I helped him move a shed. Actually, it was one of the first things I did with that truck. But a lot of people really didn't like him around town, but some people did. So it was one of those situations. He was always nice to me, but he ended up contacting me a couple of years later, and this was this past summer. And he said, I'm ready to get off of that Suburban if you're interested. And even though prices came down, I still honored the same price that I gave him 2 years ago, which was paying up for it. But I just wanted it. It was just, there was something about it that I thought, and I never even really seen it up close, but I just thought maybe there was potential in the vehicle somehow. But, so, see if we can get a little wide angle going on. There we go. So I went over there, and he said, here it is, and it has no brakes at all. It's been sitting for a while, and at least a year or two, and I haven't moved it. I haven't tried it, but keeping the battery, and it's got no brakes and no brake fluid in it at all. So he gave me the title, and he said, I bought the panels to fix this, but I never did anything with them, obviously. And if I said, well, do they come with it? And he said, well, I'd have to dig them out. I don't know where they are. So he really didn't seem too eager on that, so I just left it alone. I winched it up, and I brought it home. I plunked a battery in it, and just like I thought, the thing started. It's only got 160,000 miles on it, 5.3, good old reliable early 2000s drivetrain, just like the ones that we like. And it sat there and ran. So I decided I'm going to check into this a little more, possibly keep it for another vehicle like I need it. But, you know, possibly my daughter getting her license soon, maybe something for her to beat around in. But there's just something about it. And I just, you know, it's got that clean look to it. The interior's not all beat up. Very original. One window doesn't go down, but the part is sitting right in the back. So it was just things like that I just had a good feeling about the vehicle, you know. So anyway, I started looking into it and I checked out the whole frame, and it's crusty, but it's not rotted through. So I had a friend of mine, just, you know, I tend to look at things and I miss stuff, but I got a second opinion, and I had him come over and crawl under it. And he said, yeah, Chris, he said, you know, this seems like a pretty good vehicle. You know, it needs a little bit of this and that. So I ended up putting all new front brakes on it. The brake leak was just one of the front hoses where the little metal part was. It was actually on the driver's side. It just rotted out, and it sat there and just leaked every single bit of brake fluid out. So that wasn't too good. So all this stuff's cheap, you know, for these trucks. All the parts are cheap. I did slotted and drilled rotors and calipers and brake hoses for the front, and it was like cheap money. I forget how much exactly it was. Nothing to, you know, nothing to sneeze at as far as that goes. But so let's see where I'm at here. So I did that, and I put some fluid in it. I started pumping the brakes, and, you know, I wasn't getting nothing. And then it turned out that there was a line in the back, and someone had, this has all those copper coated lines that go through it, copper nickel or whatever they call it. So, and it had, my friend noticed, he said, you know, this has got new calipers and everything on the back. So something, you know, this had some recent work within the last year or so. So it had all the new lines coming back, but what they did was they pinched a line between the filler neck and the body back here. And it sat in there and just kind of like corroded, and now me putting fluid in it, pumping it, I couldn't get any pressure because it was leaking out of there. It's very hard to see, very hard to get at. And for me, with my back situation and stuff like that on the ground, I couldn't get up in there the right angle, if you know what I mean, to fix that line. So I noticed a mobile mechanic kid around town that's been doing all sorts of work, and I contacted him and sort of created a little relationship with him, and we ended up talking. I showed him it, and he said, oh yeah, you know, small little guy. So I had him get under there and do that line, fix that, you know, put a piece in, and he helped me, and we bled the brakes, and now the thing's got brakes. And I can actually, I was never able to drive the thing down the road to see if the transmission shift or if it was just a general piece of shit, you know, that you didn't want. So I did spend money on it, but, you know, those brakes could be taken off. So anyway, I said, you know, I just need you to help me get brakes in this thing so I can see if it's worth going any further on. So we did that. It sat in here for a while, and I worked on it a little bit here and there when I had time. But I got brakes in it, so I got all the wheels back on and tires, and I went for a ride, and just like I thought, the thing rides and runs like brand new. I mean, just crazy. Plenty of power, fresh feeling, everything, no clunking. So I ended up, I went through and I did some things that were just, you know, gone from sitting around, things that got rusty. You know, I did, there was some squeaks and squeals and stuff up here. This is the only, well, other than the rust, this is a bad part, the paint peeling, but, yeah. Blocks off the light, put it in the wrong spot. But anyway, it's your good old 5.3. And so I ended up, you know, like I said, all these parts are cheap for these things. You know, the alternator was making noise. I had one sitting upstairs that I took off another truck. I put it on. Then the belt tensioner I noticed was sticky. I got a new one. It was like $12 or something like that on Amazon. Got the belt tensioner. Replaced the idler pulley. $10 or so. Did that. Then, you know, I went one step further, and in the end, after running it for a while, the belt was just making a slight squeak, and I hate that more than anyone. So I went and spent $40 on a brand new belt. And now the thing just runs. Put a battery in it. I have another car I got. Just started to slowly kind of put it together. Now, as far as the rust goes, yeah, rockers, gone. Totally rotted. But it had those stupid step things on there. And I just jumped on those once and broke them off. And so I ended up contacting the guy. And I said, hey, you know, you think I might be able to purchase those rocker panels that you said you had? And he said, geez, I thought you were junking that. And he kind of got a little bit, at first I thought he was a little bit aggravated with me, but it turned out in the end that he was actually happy that I was doing something with it. So I try to make the story as short as I can, but I like the details, you know. So I apologize for that. But I contacted him, and he said, yeah, he said, I'll dig him out. I'll get a hold of you. So he called me one day. He said, I got those rocker panels. They're here. So I went, and, you know, we small talked a little bit about it. And he said, well, that's good. I'm glad you're doing something with that, and I hope it goes well for you. So this guy was, I didn't mention, he was battling cancer for a while. And he was real bad, but then he came back from it, and he grew all his hair back. And he was doing real good. He got back to work and just doing all sorts of things. But at that point, he seemed pretty good. And he gave me the rocker panels. Well, I got home. Just by looking at them, I knew they weren't the right ones. Turns out he ordered them for just an extended cab truck. And they were obviously shorter than the old Suburban style. Not the same. So, but I needed one rocker on the other truck we have with the plow, which is also a 2000 GMC, which I haven't really even had a chance to show you that and explain that whole story. But that truck needed one rocker panel, and so that was good. I just used it anyway from that. But it's also, as you can see, completely rotted out on the back quarters, and I already have just sliced that out when I've had time. I've been playing around, and I put some rust converter in there. And then I ordered, again, very cheap, these rocker panels that just go right over. This one, I just have it on there, kind of test fit. It's got these plastic pieces that hide after you're done. Some rivets in there. So I got that one sitting on there. And then these were actually kind of expensive, but I bought them anyway. That's that whole quarter piece. And you can actually, I could replace this whole thing. It comes all the way over here, which I'm not going to do. I'm going to cut them, and I'm just going to use what I need. But yeah, so I started doing that, and probably, you know, maybe a month or two after I picked up the rocker panels from him. I went to the town dump. I was dropping off a load of stuff in my truck in the old dually in the dump, and I saw him there, and he looked at me like he didn't know me, and he brought he had his truck heaping with scrap metal. I mean, snow blowers, everything was in there. And I thought it was kind of weird because he gave all of his scrap to me. So come to find out, he wasn't doing too well, and he was sort of losing his mind. And I sent him a message after that same day, and I said, hey, you know, Rick, I saw you at the dump. No wave, load of metal. Did I do something wrong, you know? Just wanted to kind of find out. And he said, oh, no. He said, I didn't even see you. So he clearly did. And I mean, it's the only truck, like the dualies, you know, one of a kind around here. And plus that was his favorite truck out of my fleet. But anyway, I let it go. And then about not even a month later, he decided that you know, he had enough of this cancer stuff, and the cancer, it came back, and I don't know what part of his body that it came back in, but it came back. And he said, you know what? He said, I'm not going through all this again. And this is not him saying it to me. I'm just kind of narrating what I think, you know, probably happened from what I heard. But he said, you know, I've had enough. And, you know, there's something to be said for that. And he didn't want to go in the hospital and deal with all that again. So he walked into the woods and he did himself in. And he said, I've had enough, and that's it. So I found out about this on Facebook, and because I didn't know any other of his family or anything. But like I said, a lot of people liked him. A lot of people did not like him because he had a very particular attitude to him and way of doing business. But so here I am. I end up with his Suburban, and he was pretty happy that that day I saw him at the dump. I was messaging him, and he said, you know, he said, how you making out with that Suburban? And I said, oh, I got brakes in it now. I said, I'm working on the body. And he said, that's great. It's good to hear. So he still had a little bit left to him, but I'm left with his Suburban that he bought brand new. And so here I am, the second owner, 2000 Suburban. And you can see it's just sheet metal. I mean, it's just rocker panels and those pieces back there. And I just have to make a little piece for that section out of like a cab corner or something. But we got almost 19 minutes. I feel like I did good. I got the story out. From here, I get the sheet metal on. I got one fuel tank strap to replace, and I think she's ready to go. I mean, got a nice big solid hitch on it. It's got the barn doors, and I put that in there. Get the window regulator in there, and like I said, it runs really well. And I'm not sure. Could be a runner. Push button 4-wheel drive works perfect. Tires are a little weather cracked. Maybe find some different wheels and tires for it. And just sort of play around. And I think it's just like I thought from the beginning. I really thought it was one worth keeping around. So there you go. 168 on it. And keep in mind, that still has half a tank of fuel that's been sitting in there for probably 3 years. Doesn't have that normal lifter tick that they usually do. Just runs so good. Even the blower works on all the speeds, which is very rare for me, at least, in these. I have not tried the moonroof yet, but it does have it. It's got the rear heat, AC, nice console, and it's very, very clean, and it doesn't smell in here like something that's been sitting, which is nice. Got the brake controller for the towing. It's quiet. All you can hear is the fan. Factory exhaust. Pretty much all factory. Right into four-wheel drive. Doesn't even look like anyone's ever sat on the back seats before. But that guy, Rick, you know, he was a very clean, anal guy with everything he did. There's not even any wear on the steering wheel. And it just kind of gives me a good feeling. Not only because I like, well, for one, I'm a Suburban guy. I've had a lot of Suburbans. I used to haul cars with a 95 Suburban. In fact, when I started hauling cars, I had an old 79 Suburban two-wheel drive. I mean, I had 79, I had an 87, I had 95. I mean, I can't even think, but I like Suburbans. And of course I have the old 78 still that I've had for many, many years, but never really hauled too much with that. More of just a cruiser. But so not only do I like Suburbans, but I like the early 2000s Chevys and GMCs, the LS, you know, they're great engines, they're great drivetrains. Everyone says that the 4L60s, old 4L Slippy, you know what? I've had trucks with 250,000 miles plus, and if you do the maintenance and you treat them well, they last, and they're easy and cheap to fix. So I like it about that it's a 2000, and also the story behind it gives me, you know, makes me feel good about owning it and fixing it up in Rick's memory, you know. Even though I didn't know him very well or that long, I feel like, you know, I feel like we connected, and we were pretty good friends. And, you know, he knew that I would help him when he needed it, and if I needed anything from him, I'm sure he would have helped me in any way that he could. So there you go. I appreciate you watching my little story video on this 2000 Suburban. And I don't know if Rick, if you're watching, if you happen to be somewhere watching my video, I hope you appreciate it, and hopefully this thing will be in many more videos. And maybe provide me or my family with some, reliability and transportation and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, I really like it, and I'm going to continue to pick away at it, fix it up when I have time. So thanks for watching, and I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope things work out for you and something that you're doing. I really hope so. So I'll probably see you on the streets.